Teka. Okay, dito muna tayo sa pulse oximetry. Sorry. Okay, now for our diagnostic procedure, first we have pulse oximetry. So, ano dapat ang tandaan natin about pulse oximetry? So, this measures oxygen saturation for our patients by putting yung device ng pulse oximetry doon sa kanilang finger. Okay. Now, what are factors that can affect the reading of the pulse ox? Yan. Una, we have excessive movement. Okay? Pag masyadong magalaw yung patient, edi mag-iiba yung reading niya ng O2SAT. Pwede rin mag-iba yung reading niya ng pulse rate. Okay? So dapat ipakalmahin muna natin yung patient natin before we try to read the pulse ox or we try to use the pulse ox. Okay, next, we have exposure to bright lights. Okay? Exposure to bright lights or very bright lights. This can interrupt the sensors. Okay? Di ba may mga sensor yung mga pulse ox natin? So, pwede niyong ma-interrupt yung pagbasa ng sensor. Okay? Then we have cold temperature or particularly cold fingers. Okay? Pag malamig masyado yung finger ng patient, pwedeng magkaroon siya ng false reading of hypoxemia. Akala mo mababa yung oxygen sat niya, yung O2 sat niya. Yun pala malamig lang yung daliri niya. Okay? Last but not least, thick nail polish. Yan, yung mga mahilig magpa-nail polish, mga gel polish, acrylic nails, ayan. So, that can also affect the reading kasi magkakaroon ng problema with the sensor, hindi niya agad madedetect yung oxygen saturation. So, dapat kaya tayo mga nurses, dapat meron tayong acetone. Kaya dapat meron tayong acetone na tinatago sa kit natin just in case we will need it. No? It doesn't hurt naman kung mag-keep ka doon. Okay, basta yung acetone mo ay malayo sa mga oxygen sources kasi yun ang pwedeng mag-support ng combustion. Okay? Ayan. So, that's pulse oximetry. So, okay. An oxygen saturation of 90 to 94% will require the nurse to monitor the client. Oo, tama naman siya. Kasi medyo mababa na ito. Ang normal natin is 95% and above. An oxygen saturation between 85 to 94% will require the nurse. I think this is supposed to be 90%. Okay, hindi 94. Will require the nurse to put the client in high Fowler's or semi-Fowler's position, take slow deep breaths, and administer oxygen. I think it's correct naman. So, ano tawag dito? So, kapag mababa na yung oxygen saturation, of course, you will have to make adjustments. Okay? So, you reposition the patient, i-semi or high Fowler's mo siya. Okay? And then, deep breathing exercise para mag-increase ang oxygen niya. And also, we can give oxygen mismo. O2 sat of less than 85 will require the nurse to administer oxygen, stay with the client, and notify the healthcare provider. So, ang pwede nating ibigay kung less than 85%, okay, we can give 2 liters per minute via nasal cannula muna. Okay? Ayan. So, yan ang pwedeng nating ibigay nang hindi natin na kailangan ng doctor's order. Okay? Ngayon, kapag yung patient in distress pa rin siya and mababa pa rin ang oxygen, you need more than 2 liters per minute, that's when you will require a doctor's order. Okay? Ayan. So that's oxygen saturation. Okay, next. Which of the following statements are related to pulse oximetry? So sasagot mo lang yes or no. Instruct the client not to move the attachment site, yes or no. Yung kiniklik, okay, doon sa daliri. Yes, huwag niyang gagalawin kasi pwedeng magkaroon ng false reading. Avoid exposure of the equipment to light. Yes or no? Yes din siya. The result indicates oxygen saturation level. Result indicates oxygen saturation level. Yes, it is painless. Oh, okay, oo. Normal, painless naman ng pulse ox. Acidosis can be diagnosed with it. Pulse ox. Okay, no. Ano ba dapat ang test pag mag-check ka for acidosis? Hindi yan pulse oximetry. Ano? ABG. Very good. Okay, ABG lang ang pwede mag-diagnose niya. Okay? Next, we have incentive spirometry. Okay, incentive spirometry. So, incentive spirometry, actually ano pala to? Therapeutic procedure ito, hindi to diagnostic. Well, tama naman. Okay, it's a therapeutic procedure. So basically, Incentive spirometry, it is a type of respiratory therapy wherein we encourage deep breathing, okay, in using the spirometer. Okay? Ayan. So kanino natin to ginagamit usually? For patients na, let's say, nag-surgery, okay? Ideal lahat ng post-op na patients dapat gagawin mo nito eh. Kasi pag matagal kang naka-lie on your back, no, that will also inhibit your lung expansion. Okay? So, yun nga, basically ang focus nito is to help your lungs re-expand. Okay? So, paano siya ginagawa? So, we advise the patient that while using this incentive spirometer, no, we advise them to take slow, deep breaths. Okay? And then, we advise them to hold their breath while they are inhaling. Okay? Tapos, itong spirometer na ito, meron ba akong ibang picture ng spirometer? Ay, wala. Yung spirometer na ito, no? Ayan, as you can see, meron dito yung parang umaakyat baba yan eh. Nakalimutan ko anong tawag sa kanya. Tapos meron dito, ayan, yan yung level na dapat i-reach ng patient. So yan, ikaw na nurse, pwede mo yan i-adjust. Tapos sasabihin mo sa patient mo, i-adjust mo. Kanyari, ilalagay mo sa 2,500. Sasabihin mo sa patient, ipasok mo to sa mouth mo, okay, yung mouthpiece, and then you inhale. Tapos itong yellow portion na nandito, aakyat yan. Okay? Pag nag-inhale siya. Sabihin mo sa patient, mag-inhale ka, then try mo i-reach itong 2,500 na ito. Or kung saan man nakaturo yung arrow. Okay? And then, i-reach ng patient yung level na yan, and then they will need to hold it for 5 to 10 seconds. Okay? Ayan. And also, always remember, inhale ang ginagawa dito para mag-expand yung lungs. Okay? So what we advise the patient, place the mouthpiece in your mouth and seal your lips tightly around it. Okay? Breathe in slowly and as deeply as possible, raising the yellow piston toward the top of the column. Ayun pala yung tawag dito, piston. Okay? Don't worry, may video tayo niyan. Okay? So, yeah, let's have this one. Ito yung isa pang picture ng incentive spirometer. Ayan, tingnan niyo yung GIF na nasa kanan. O, yan yung ginagawa. Yan, umaakyat po yung piston. Okay? Kapag siya ay nag-i-inhale. Let's watch this short video on incentive spirometry.
An incentive spirometer is a device that helps you take slow, deep breaths. Using it correctly keeps the lungs working well and can help prevent problems like pneumonia. An incentive spirometer is made of hollow, clear plastic. It has a tube with a mouthpiece attached. Numbers on the spirometer show how deeply you breathe in. A little disc called a piston moves up and down. The area with arrows or lines on it shows a range. A ball goes up and down in this range to show how slowly you breathe in. Sit up straight and hold the spirometer in your hands. Take a deep breath in and let it out. Place the mouthpiece in your mouth. Make sure your lips completely cover the mouthpiece. Breathe in slowly through the mouthpiece, like sucking through a straw. Breathe slowly enough to keep the ball in your target zone, and breathe deeply enough until the piston gets to the mark your care team has set for you. Hold your breath for 3 seconds, then let it out slowly. It can take a few tries to hit your mark. Your care team will let you know how often to use the incentive spirometer.
Ayan. So, yan yung incentive spirometer natin. So, ano napansin nyo dun sa video? Pinag-inhale siya with the device. So, tandaan nyo, when you're about to use it, dapat walang air yung lungs mo. So, bago ilagay ng patient yung mouthpiece niya, no? So, advise them, deep breathing muna, inhale, exhale. Pagka-exhale niya, palagay mo na yung mouthpiece. Okay? And then, tsaka mo na siya ipag-inhale with the spirometer. Okay? If they want to exhale, hindi sila pwedeng mag-exhale habang nasuot nila yung mouthpiece. Dapat tanggalin muna nila. Okay? Ayan. So that is incentive spirometry. Again, incentive, inhale. Okay? Ito naman. We have the peak flow meter. Now, the peak flow meter, this is a device used to measure how well a person's asthma is under control. Okay? Yan. So, ang tinitingnan naman natin sa peak flow meter is the peak expiratory flow rate. Okay? Okay? Ang ginagawa dito kung gaano kabilis yung pag-escape ng air sa lungs natin when we exhale. Okay? That's the peak flow meter. Measures air flowing out of the lungs called the peak expiratory flow rate. As a person with asthma, forcefully blows into the device. Okay? So anong kaibahan niya doon sa incentive spirometry? Sa incentive, inhale and we're inhaling slowly. Peak flow meter, we exhale and we exhale forcefully. Biglaan siya. Dapat mabilis. Okay? Kailan siya ginagamit? You're measuring the lung function during the following times. Every morning before taking asthma medications. Okay, so may baseline ka. During asthma symptoms or an asthma attack para makita mo kung gaano ka-constricted na ba yung airway mo. After taking medication for an asthma attack to see if there's improvement. And other times recommended by the healthcare provider. Okay? So this is what a peak flow meter looks like. So kung kanina merong piston, okay, na kailangan mong i-maintain sa incentive spirometry, sa peak flow meter, wala. Okay? But there will be a marking dyan, tas magsastay siya, makikita mo yan sa video kung gaano kabilis yung expiratory flow rate mo. Okay? Now, what is the best position when you're doing the peak flow meter? Dapat yung patient ay standing. Okay? Standing. Kasi fully expanded yung lungs mo kapag ikaw ay nakatayo. Okay? Yan. So let's watch this short video. I would like to make a correction with this one ha. Kasi dito sa video, nakaupo yung patient. But the best way to do this is if the patient is standing. Okay? So let's watch this video.
How to use a peak flow meter. Look at your peak flow meter to make sure the mouthpiece is clean and clear of any objects. Move the marker to the bottom of the numbered scale. You may need to shake it to move the marker down. Stand or sit up straight. Take a deep breath in through your nose, filling your lungs all the way. Place the device between your teeth or gums, biting down gently. Then seal your lips tightly around the mouthpiece. Blow out as hard and as fast as you can with a single breath or blow. Read the number that is next to the marker. Write down the number. To reset the meter, move the marker back to the bottom of the numbered scale and repeat the same steps 2 more times. The highest of the 3 numbers is your peak flow number. Write down this number in a notebook or tracking chart. Use the number to monitor your asthma and share with your healthcare provider. If you cough or did not do the steps in the correct order, do not write down the number. Instead, repeat the steps to get 3 good results. If you become lightheaded, stop and rest and do it later. Store in a safe place. Clean your peak flow meter according to the package instructions.
Ayan. So yun yung way paggamit ng peak flow meter. So pansin natin, exhalation ang ginagawa with the meter. Okay? So, baliktad naman siya with the incentive spirometry. Dapat exhale muna and then mag-i-inhale ka pag suot mo ng mouthpiece. Sa peak flow meter, baliktad naman. Dapat mag-deep inhale ka, you put the mouthpiece on, and then exhale forcefully. Okay? Yan. So, this is the comparison between the two. Okay? In incentive spirometry, this is used to promote deep breathing. We can position the patient semi-Fowler's position. The first step is to instruct the client to exhale forcefully bago lagay yung mouthpiece. Then second step, instruct the client to inhale through the mouthpiece. Peak flow meter, this is used to evaluate asthma. Kung effective ba yung asthma medications or if the patient's asthma is getting worse. Best position is standing position. Then we advise the patient to take a deep breath first, inhale. And then we exhale forcefully through the mouthpiece. Okay? So yun lang ang difference in incentive spirometry and the peak flow meter. Okay? Next, you have your pulmonary function test. Now, for your pulmonary function test, this is diagnostic test naman ito. These are non-invasive tests that measures the patient's lung capacity, vital capacity, tidal volume. Okay? Now, ang best position for this patient pag pulmonary function test ay sitting position, sitting upright. Yan. Okay? And as you can see, merong clip doon sa ilong ng patient. Kasi gusto natin na huminga lang siya through the mouthpiece para accurately may evaluate yung kanyang lung function. Okay? Yan. So pulmonary function test can also be done using this spirometer. But I think for this one, they use this for diagnostic. Okay? Kung gaano kataas bang kaya i-maintain ng patient yung piston. Okay? Let's try to answer question. A nurse has instructed the client on the use of incentive spirometer. Which of the following statements indicates understanding of the procedure? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Incentive spirometer. 1, 2, 3, or 4? Incentive spirometer. Ano siya? Incentive. This is number 3. Very good. I will need to slowly inhale after placing my mouthpiece inside my mouth. Very good. So incentive, inhale through the mouthpiece. Okay? Then this one. A nurse has instructed the client on the use of spirometer. Please arrange the statements in order. So una dyan, advise them to exhale completely. Diba? Pag incentive spirometer, exhale muna. Then place the mouth around the mouthpiece. Then inhale slowly until the indicator is reached. And then remove mouth from the mouthpiece. Diba sabi natin, kailangan tanggalin mo muna yung mouthpiece bago ka mag-exhale. Okay? So that is the correct order. Okay? Next test that we have is bronchoscopy. Now, bronchoscopy, this is for visualization of the respiratory tract. So, nag-i-insert ng bronchoscope doon sa airway or doon sa baga ng pasyente. Okay? So, this could allow in collection of sputum. This could also be used for biopsy. Okay? Kasi yun nga, nagpapasok ka ng bronchoscope para mag-guide yung pagpasok ng tool for the biopsy. Okay? This could also help with removal of certain foreign bodies, mucus, tumors. Pwede ka rin dito gumawa ng lavage, lung lavage. So parang nag-aano ka ng fluid, nag-introduce ka ng fluid doon sa baga. So bronchoscopy. Now, tandaan nyo sa bronchoscopy, ang pasyente ay tulog. Okay? Anesthetize yan, naka-general anesthesia. Kasi you want to suppress the gag reflex. Okay? You are suppressing the gag reflex prior to bronchoscopy. So dahil siya ay bibigyan ng general anesthesia, this patient needs to be on NPO. Ilang hours? It should be 6 hours before the procedure. Okay? Ayan. So, post-bronchoscopy naman, ano dapat ang titingnan natin? Okay? So aside from respiratory status of the patient, ito rin ang kailangan nating tingnan, gag reflex. Kasi yan ang magiging basis natin kung pwede na nating painumin yung patient or hindi. Pag wala pa yung gag reflex, hindi mo pa yung pwedeng painumin. Kasi ang tendency is baka ma-aspirate niya lang yung liquid. Okay? Ayan. So, So we need to wait for the gag reflex to return. Then we can also do what is called the spoon test. Okay? Spoon test. So, ang spoon test, you are trying to check if the patient can tolerate drinking 1 spoon of water. Okay? Kung kaya niya nang i-tolerate, okay, pag nagbigay ka ng spoonful of water, then you wait 10 to 15 minutes and then you check if the patient is tolerating it well or not. Kapag okay, pwede mo na siyang pakainin or painumin. Inom muna yan. Okay? Kasi ang patient, pag in-anesthesia yan, hindi ka pwedeng full diet pagbalik ng gag reflex niya. Hindi. Kailangan unti-unti yan. Clear liquids muna, then soft foods, and then saka full diet. Okay? So that's bronchoscopy. Ayan. Bronchoscopy is used to visualize structures, perform biopsy, and collect sputum samples. So yes, that's correct. When a client returns from a bronchoscopy, the nurse should withhold food and fluid for several hours to prevent which of the following? Aspiration of food, projectile vomiting, abdominal distension, or dysphagia and dyspepsia. What's your answer? Bakit di mo na tayo nagpapakain? Okay, this one is, ano sagot? This one is number 1, aspiration of food. Kaya hinihintay nating bumalik muna yung gag reflex. Okay? Next, We have chest x-ray. So the chest x-ray, this produces the images of the lungs, the heart, and the bones in the chest. Okay? May tendency pwede rin makita yung other bones surrounding our chest, no? So this is the most common diagnostic test in patients with respiratory conditions, or even if you're not well, di ba part yan ng mga part yan ng pre-employment requirements, chest x-ray. Okay? Now, anong tatandaan natin prior to chest x-ray? You need to remove all metallic objects that are in your body. Bawal ang hikaw, bawal ang kwintas, bawal ang jewelry, ganyan. Okay? Bawal ang watch. Yan. So, dapat tatanggalin. Okay? Kasi nag-i-introduce yan ng radiation. At mag-glow yan ng bonggang-bongga pagdating sa x-ray. Okay? Which of the following statements about chest x-ray is false? Okay? Chest x-ray is false. Number 1, no contraindication exists for this test. Before the procedure, the client should remove all jewelry, metallic objects, and buttons above the waist. Assigned consent is not required. Eating, drinking medications are allowed before the test. So, ang hinahanap natin dito, yung mali. Alin dito yung mali sa statement na to? So, I'll give the answer. Sagot is number 1, no contraindication. Ano ang main contraindication for chest x-ray? Buntis. Pag ikaw ay buntis, hindi ka pwedeng mag-chest x-ray ng ganun-ganun lang. Kailangan mo niya ng lead shield. Okay? The lead shield that will protect the baby from exposure to the radiation. Okay? Ayan. So, ano pa? Ayan, tama. Correct statement naman ang number 2. Again, we are looking for false statements. Signed consent is not required. In some cases, it will be required. Lalo na kung pregnant ka. Okay? Eating, drinking medications allowed for the test? Yes, this is correct. Wala namang contraindicated na pagkain or gamot before the chest x-ray. Okay? Next, we have sputum studies. Now, sputum studies, so sputum, as we know, it contains saliva and mucus, and this is the confirmatory diagnostic test for several respiratory infections. Okay? For example, TB. Okay? So, once upon a time, sputum study, direct sputum microscopy. Okay, ang ginagawa natin. Pero ngayon, ang preferred na po ay gene expert for diagnosis of the patient's TB. Okay? Now, when is the best time to collect the sputum? Okay? When is the best time to collect the sputum? Okay, for sputum studies. It should be early in the morning. Okay, it should be early in the morning pag bagong gising yung patient. Okay, ma'am, pwede po ba siyang uminom ng tubig bago mag-collect sputum? Pwede naman. Okay, ma'am, pwede po ba siya mag-toothbrush? Pwede actually. Pwede siyang mag-toothbrush, pwede siyang mag-gargle ng tubig. Ma'am, hindi po ba mawawala yung bacteria pag nag-toothbrush siya? No, not necessarily naman. Pero ano ang bawal? Okay? Bawal ang mouthwash. Kasi 'di ba merong alcohol yung mouthwash. So baka ma-destroy yung mga microorganisms na gusto sana natin ma-detect doon sa sputum. Okay? So ayan. Best time to collect is early in the morning after waking up. Okay? And the night before we collect the sputum. Night before. Ano dapat ang gagawin natin? Okay? We have to increase the patient's oral fluid intake. Okay? Para mag-loosen yung secretions in the morning. And we can also do nebulization. Okay? So magne-nebulize tayo para paggising niya sa umaga, mabilis nang makapag-expectorate siya ng sputum. Okay? Ayan. So that is sputum studies. Okay. The client is instructed to increase fluid intake the night before a sputum test para mabilis makapag-mobilize ng secretion. Coughing for sputum specimen collection can be induced by nebulization or suctioning. Brushing the teeth before specimen collection is allowed. Okay lang. The characteristic color of the sputum depends on the causative agent. So, if your patient has TB, okay, pag may tuberculosis ang patient mo, anong sputum niyan usually? Blood tinged. Okay? May traces ng dugo. Okay? Pag naman merong viral pneumonia, okay? Sorry ang pangit ng sulat. Pag may viral pneumonia, mapapansin mo ang sputum niyan ay whitish in color. Okay? Kapag naman may bacterial pneumonia, okay? Bacterial pneumonia. Okay? Merong greenish, could be green. It could be yellowish. It could also be rusty. Okay, parang kalawang yung kulay niya. Okay, so pag bacterial pneumonia, green, yellow, or rusty. And last but not least, if you have pulmonary edema, okay, pink, frothy sputum. Okay? Pink, frothy sputum. Ma'am, ba't siya naging pink and frothy? Kasi, ano tawag dito, yung blood from the blood vessels, the tiny blood vessels or capillaries in the alveoli, nagmix siya with the sputum, tapos naging frothy siya kasi nagkaroon, namixan din ng air yung sputum. Okay? So yan. So that is the different colors na pwede mong makita sa sputum mo, depending on the condition of the patient. Okay? Yan. So there you go. Let's have this one. A client's skin test and chest x-ray film indicate pulmonary tuberculosis. The healthcare provider orders sputum specimens. It should be alin. Coughed up from deep in the lungs, collected in the early morning hour, copious in amount for adequate testing, or refrigerate until brought to the laboratory. Anong tamang sagot? Kapag ikaw ay nag-collect ng sputum, based on what we discussed, correct. It's number 2. It's collected in the early morning hour. Tapos hindi na siya coughed up from deep in the lungs. Kasi, di ba dapat yung secretions, di ba nag-nebulize ka the night before? Umaakyat na yan, andito na lang yan sa trachea mo. Okay, so it's not deep in the lungs. Andito na siya sa upper airway mo. Okay? So yun yung mali doon. Then number 3, hindi naman dapat maraming sputum na ibibigay mo na sample. An adequate amount is okay. Then refrigerate, no. Kailangan dalhin siya agad to the laboratory. Kasi pwedeng ma-destroy na yung microorganisms pag lumamig na siya. Okay? Or hindi na sila maging active. Okay, next procedure. We have thoracynthesis. The purpose of this procedure is to remove air and liquid from around the lungs. So, ginagawa ito kapag merong excess fluid, excess air, and blood in the pleural space. So, naalala niyo yung pleural space natin. Ito yung baga mo. Okay? Meron pa dyang naka-envelope na sac. Okay? Yung sac na yan, may laman yung kakaunting fluid para hindi lang mag-rub. Okay? Yung pleural membrane with the outer layer of the lungs. Okay? Ngayon, pag napuno yan ng air, pag nasobrahan na yan ng air, tawag dyan, pneumothorax. Kapag napuno ng excess fluid, pleural effusion. O, nabanggit natin yan kanina, di ba? Kapag naman blood, ano tawag dyan? Hemothorax. Okay? Now, thoracynthesis. So, ang ginagawa sa thoracynthesis, you're aspirating the fluid from the pleural space. Okay? So, pwedeng yan yung pleural effusion, pwedeng yung hemothorax. So, during the procedure, we advise the patient to breathe normally during the procedure, but no deep breathing and coughing. Okay? Kasi magpapasok ka dyan ng syringe eh. Okay? Magpapasok ka dyan ng syringe and then i-aspirate mo yung excess fluid. Pag biglang nag-deep breathing si patient, baka ma-puncture yung mismong lung. Okay? Yung syringe kasi, hanggang dito lang siya sa layer na to. Okay? Hindi siya papasok all the way here, no? Okay? E pag nag-deep breathing yan, pwede yan dumiretso dito. O, di nagka-atelectasis ka. Okay? This may cause pneumothorax and damage to the spleen or liver if it is not done correctly. Okay? Yan. So let's continue with this one. Okay. So during thoracynthesis, coughing and deep breathing are not permitted as the increased pressure may potentially cause puncture of the lungs. So yun yung sinasabi ko kanina. Okay? It may puncture the lungs. And ito ang positioning na ginagawa natin if your patient is for thoracynthesis. So, what we do is, we place the patient in what we call the orthopneic position. Okay? Orthopneic position. So, the patient, gagamit ka ng bedside table, okay? Tapos maglagay ka dyan ng unan, or pwede rin namang wala. Then, advise the patient to lean forward on that table to expose the patient's back and the patient's lungs, or kung saan ka man mag-aspirate. Okay? Now, usually, the point of aspiration is at the lower part of the chest. Kasi by force of gravity, dyan naman talaga magde-drain yung fluid sa lower part ng lungs niya. Okay? Now, kailangan mag-ingat dyan yung doctor. Kailangan hindi niya ma-puncture yung diaphragm, hindi niya rin ma-puncture yung liver. Okay? Kung sa right side man siya gagawin. Okay? Ayan. So, pwedeng dito sa tagiliran gawin. Pwede rin naman sa likod. Okay? Yan. So, again, ang tawag dito ay orthopneic position. Okay? Yan. So, as you can see, the puncture point is in the lower part of the back. Okay? Or going to the side na rin siya sa tagiliran ng patient. Okay? After thoracentesis, position the patient with their unaffected lung down for 30 to 60 minutes. Ma'am, bakit? Hindi na makakahinga yung patient. So, kunyari, ang right lung ng patient, yun yung merong pleural effusion. Let's just imagine. Ang right lung niya yung may pleural effusion. So, after the procedure, after ng thoracentesis, etong right side, it should be up. Okay, dapat yan ang nakataas. Yung left lang na normal, yan ang in contact with the bed. Bakit? Para itong lang na na-puncture, maka-re-expand siya. Okay? To allow expansion of the affected lung. Kasi na-drain mo naman na yung fluid eh. So gusto mong mag-expand siya para maximum yung oxygen na in-inhale mo. Okay? Yan. So unaffected lang po. Okay? Ayan. Baka ito lumabas din to. Ito, different procedure naman. Pneumonectomy. Okay? What is pneumonectomy? This is a procedure wherein you're removing a whole lung. Okay? Kunyari, pag sinabing right pneumonectomy, yung buong right lung tinanggal mo. So, isang baga ka na lang. Okay? Now, iba ang positioning nito. Okay? Bakit? You place the patient on the affected side. Bakit? Di ba isa na lang yung baga mo? So, dapat yung baga mong naiiwan na yun, dapat siya ang fully makapag-expand. So this one, pag pneumonectomy, we place the patient on the affected side para maka-re-expand yung normal na lung or the lung that is remaining. Okay? So tandaan ha, magkaiba. Thoracentesis unaffected, pneumonectomy affected side. Okay? Yan. According to Salvatore synthesis for pleural effusion, the nurse knows that blank. Okay. Now, for thoracentesis, we also need to remember this one. Ginagamit lang siya kapag konti lang yung fluid na kailangan tanggalin. Okay? Bakit? Kasi pag sobrang dami ng fluid na kailangan mo tanggalin, hindi na thoracentesis kailangan mo dyan. Chest tube na ang kailangan mo. Kailangan kasi mabagal ang pag-drain out ng contents na nandun sa baga mo kahit abnormal yan. Kasi pag mabilis masyadong pag-drain out mo ng contents, that can cause circulatory collapse. So ang tamang sagot dito ay number 3. Okay? The rapid removal of large amounts of pleural fluid may precipitate cardiovascular collapse. Okay? Ayan. Next, a client is receiving treatment for pleural effusion. Which findings indicate to a nurse that treatment for the pleural effusion has been effective? Okay? Sige, let's try to check. Lower lung bases are dull with percussion. So, nag-try kang mag-percuss doon sa lower part ng lungs ng patient or sa back niya. So, kapag dull pa yan with percussion, it means puno pa yan ng fluid. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, hindi effective yung naging treatment mo. So number 1 is an X. Ang hinahanap natin, effective yung treatment. Therefore, nag-improve yung status ng patient. O, kayo naman magsagot ng number 2. Effective ba yung treatment if there is absence of pleural friction rub? Yes or no? Is the treatment effective if there is absence of pleural friction rub? Is it effective? Ano ba ang pleural friction rub? Pleural friction rub is an abnormal finding, di ba? O so kung nawala, edi ibig sabihin effective yung treatment mo. Okay, so number 2 is a yes. Okay? O, kayo sumagot. There is severe breathlessness reduced to slight dyspnea. Is the treatment effective or not? Okay? Hindi pa rin. Okay? Kasi dapat wala. Okay? Dapat clear, dapat normal ang kanyang breathing pattern. Normal lung sounds auscultated in all lung lobes. O, effective or not? Okay. Effective or not? This is, yes, normal na yung lung sounds mo eh. Okay, so tama ito. Chest x-ray shows blunting of the costrophenic angle. Now, pag nakita niyo yung term na yun, blunting of the costrophenic angle, nangyayari ito kapag may pneumothorax. Okay? Yan. So, this is an X. Okay? Kapag blunting ang meron sa claustropenic angle mo, it means that there is fluid in the pleural space and nagkakaroon ng increased pressure. Okay? Nag-i-increase yung pressure, nagbablunt yung claustropenic angle. And then, the normal kasi na claustropenic angle natin is sharp, not blunt. Okay? Ayan. Yeah, okay. So that is it. Claustropenic angle. Okay, next we have our perfusion lung scan. Now, the perfusion lung scan is looking into two different components. We have the ventilation, okay, and perfusion. Sa madaling salita. Okay? Ito rin yung tinatawag nating VQ scan, if you've heard of it. Okay? Now, what is the difference between ventilation and perfusion? Ventilation refers to airflow. Perfusion refers to blood flow. Okay? Yan. So we want to check if there is, kung normal ba yung both ventilation and perfusion in the patient's lungs. Okay? Kailan nagkakaroon ng problema with ventilation and perfusion? O example of a ventilation problem, yung pasyente mo may asthma. Okay? So 'di ba in asthma nagnanarrow ang airway. So nag-a-affect yung ventilation, yung airflow going into the lungs. The perfusion remains unaffected. Normal ang perfusion niya kasi wala namang problem with the blood flow in the lungs pag may asthma ka. Okay? So that's an example. Ano pang pwedeng maging cause ng ventilation problem? Pwedeng pneumonia, okay? Kasi may infection dun sa mismong airway. Pwedeng COPD, pwedeng bronchitis. Kasi with bronchitis and COPD, nagkakaroon din ng mucus buildup in the airways, no? So that could cause a ventilation problem. Pag perfusion problem, so once again, this is a blood flow problem. Kailan to usually nakikita? If your patient has a pulmonary embolism. Okay? Pulmonary embolism. Alam niyo pulmonary embolism? Nagkaroon ng blood clot, nag-travel doon sa baga, nag-lodge siya into one of the capillaries or the small blood vessels in the patient's lungs. Okay? That's pulmonary embolism. It is a life-threatening emergency. Okay? Kasi there will be an area in the lungs na nagkaroon ng bara, ma-obstruct ang blood flow. Okay? Yan. So that is an example of a perfusion problem. Pag nagkaroon ng bara dyan, then there will not be enough blood that will reach the affected alveoli or mawawalan talaga ng blood supply yung certain alveoli mo. That could be an emergency. Okay? So yan ang tinedetect natin sa perfusion lung scan. Okay? Yan. So pag yung patient mo nakita may problema sa ventilation, sa perfusion wala or vice versa, ang tawag doon ay VQ mismatch. Okay? Ayan. So baka narinig nyo na yung term na yan, VQ mismatch. V refers to ventilation, the Q refers to perfusion. Huwag nyo na akong tanongin bakit Q ang perfusion at hindi ko rin alam isasagot ko sa inyo. Okay? Basta yun siya. Perfusion is the Q. Okay. Now, during the perfusion scan, a healthcare provider injects radioactive albumin into your vein. You are placed on a movable table that is under the arm of a scanner. So yan, nag-inject muna ng something radioactive para makita, okay, yan yung, kumbaga, yan yung tracer, para makita under another studies, let's say a CT scan, para ma-detect kung meron bang bara talaga yung baga. Okay? In terms of the capillaries. The machine scans your lungs as blood flows through them to find the location of the radioactive particles. Okay? Then, that is for perfusion kapag blood flow. Pag ventilation scan naman, you breathe in the radioactive gas through a mask while you are sitting or lying on a table under the scanner arm. Okay? So, pag ventilation, i-inhale mo naman yung radioactive gas. Okay? Yan. So, yun ang pagkakaiba nila. Now, to confirm pulmonary embolism and other blood flow abnormalities, a client can be subjected to which of the following procedures that uses a contrast medium. Yung contrast medium, yun yung ginagamit sa pag-perfusion. Okay, perfusion scan. So, ano ang ginagamit nating test? Lung biopsy, lung scan, pulmonary function test, or torasynthesis. Pulmonary embolism na yan, ha? So, this is yes, number 2, this is lung scan or perfusion lung scan. O, di ba madali lang siya? Okay? Then we have the MANTO test. Okay? We have the Manto test or the tuberculin skin test. This is used to determine TB exposure. This is very important. A TB exposure only. It does not detect if the patient is currently infected with tuberculosis. Okay? So yan, ito yung, di ba ito yung mga ginagawa natin ng second year ba or first year? I don't know sa inyo. Basta first time namin mag-intradermal, second year kami. Okay? Yan. So yun yung isa sa una natin ginagawa intradermally. So, ang ini-inject dito sa Manto test is what we call a PPD. This is known as a purified protein derivative. So, yung PPD na yan, meron yung small concentration of parang, ano tawag dito? It's a substance from the bacteria, from the cell wall of the tuberculosis na bacteria. Okay? Tapos ini-introduce siya under the skin, then titingnan mo kung magre-react yung skin or not. Okay? Tapos, anong tinitingnan natin if we do the Manto test? We are going to look for induration. Okay, induration. So, after mong mag-inject, dapat may mafo-form dyan na wheal. Okay? Wheal, hindi whale ha. Okay, wheal. Okay, wheal. So, yung wheal na yan, so magkakaroon ng parang bump under the skin, no? And then, lagyan mo yan ng mark, ng ballpen. Okay, and then you advise the patient to return in 48 to 72 hours after injection. Okay? Tapos, after that time period, i-check mo kung yung bang skin na minarkahan mo, yung wheal na yan ba ay lumaki o hindi. Pag yan ay lumaki, then ibig sabihin, kailangan mong i-check gaano kalaki yung induration. Okay? Yan. So mamaya, we will have the different ranges, okay, nung induration para sa Manto test. Okay? So positive Manto test, it indicates TB exposure only, not positive for TB. Okay? Ayan. Then interpretation results depend on the induration. Ayan. So again, yung induration, this is the wheal. Okay? So hindi po ito necessarily yung redness lang na nakikita natin, but rather yung elevation ng surface ng skin. Okay? Yan. So, 5 millimeters induration, it is considered positive in an HIV positive person with recent organ transplant and with recent contact of a TB client. So, sino tong mga to? These are the high-risk patients. Tapos, itong dalawa na ito, yan yung mga immunocompromised. Pansin nyo? Yan. Mga immunocompromised yan, dalawang yan. HIV positive. Organ transplant. Pag organ transplant, ini-immunosuppress ka para hindi magkaroon ng rejection. O, diba? And high risk din ito. Kunyari, may kamag-anak ka na infect ng TB. Lagi mong kasama yung kamag-anak na yan. Pag 5 millimeters, high risk ka na nun. Okay? High risk ka kapag may recent exposure ka. Ayan. So, there you go. And then, ma'am, paano kapag nag-positive yung patient sa Manto test? Anong gagawin? You need to report to the physician so that further tests can be conducted. So, gagawin dyan, in the Philippine context, no, ang ginagawa na natin is gene expert. Okay? And we also correlate it with findings in the chest x-ray. Okay? Para malaman if it is pulmonary TB or not. Okay? Kasi di ba may extrapulmonary TB? Yan. Then 10 millimeters is positive in the following. Okay? Mga drug users with medical conditions like diabetes and end-stage renal disease, children less than 4 years old, and adolescents exposed to adults in high-risk categories. Pwede ring maging positive ang 10 millimeters sa mga living in countries, okay, where TB is endemic. Okay? Endemic ang TB. One of which is the Philippines. Okay? So sa atin, considered positive na yan pag 10 millimeters. Okay? Aside from the Philippines, you also have countries like Vietnam, Mexico, China, India, yung mga third world country. Yan. Third world country kasi marami, may mga cases pa rin ng tuberculosis. Well, at least in the Philippines, it's much more well managed now kasi we have algorithms in place to treat TB and to prevent the spread of TB. Okay. 15 millimeters is positive in a person with no known risk for TB. Okay? Ayan. So let's try to check A client has a positive MANTO test. This means that he blank. 1, 2, 3, or 4. Positive daw ang MANTO test. What does this mean? Okay, number 2. He has been exposed to tuberculosis. Okay? Ayan. Now, other things that we need to remember regarding your MANTO test. Which of the following statements are true regarding MANTO test? Determine hypersensitivity or previous reaction to skin test. Yes. Kasi kapag hypersensitive pala siya to something similar to the MANTO test, okay? Eh di ba kayo hindi mo pwede gawin tong MANTO test sa kanya? Okay, baka magkaroon ka lang ng false positive. Use a skin site that is free from abnormalities like blemishes. Yes. Okay? Ano bang ideal site natin? It should be at the inner forearm, dito sa area na to. It should be 5 to 10 centimeters below from the elbow. So mga around dito. Yan. Diyan pinaka-ideal na gawin yung MANTO test. Okay? Free from blemishes, walang mga moles, walang mga tigyawat that could cause, a false positive reading. Circle and mark the injection site. Yes. So gumamit ka ng ball pen. Okay? Advise the client not to scratch the test site. Yes. Instruct the client to avoid washing the site. Yes. For the meantime, wag mo nang hugasan. Interpret the reaction of the injection site 24 to 72 hours after administration of the drug. Yes. Dito naka-check mark, pero actually dapat ito ay 48. So dapat X ito. Dapat 48 yan. Assess the test site for the amount of induration in centimeters. Centimeters ba gamit natin? No. It should be in millimeters. Okay? Ayan. So that is the MANTO test. Okay? Next, we have your lung biopsy. The lung biopsy, the purpose is to determine if lung disease or cancer is present. Okay? Na ating lung biopsy. So this is an invasive procedure. This will require the patient to be anesthetized. Okay? Yan. Then assess the client for signs of bleeding after the procedure. So ang ginagawa dito sa lung biopsy, you are getting a sample tissue from the patient's lungs. Then titingnan siya under the microscope. Okay, kung meron bang cancerous cells. Okay? Ayan. So ang priority natin for lung biopsy is, post-procedure, it is bleeding. Okay, so watch out for bleeding. Usually for that kind of procedure, no, let's say yung patient mo, before the lung biopsy, regular siyang nagtitake ng anticoagulant drugs, mga blood thinners. So for the meantime, ititigil mo na yung pagbigay ng blood thinners na yun. Kasi post-procedure, baka mag-cause siya ng excessive bleeding. Okay? Ano pa? Then you have transthoracic needle biopsy. So this is a type of biopsy that is ultrasound guided. Okay? Ayan. So dahil guided ito through ultrasound, okay, the patient has to lie still. Okay? Remain still and stay in this position for about 30 minutes and you place the patient in recumbent. Okay? So question, a client underwent lung biopsy to confirm the presence of cancer cells. Which of the following is the priority nursing care? What is your answer? Anong priority mo after the biopsy? Isolate the client, offer a glass of water, check for bleeding, administer pain medications as ordered. Number 3, this is to check for bleeding. Okay, correct. Next, let's go to therapeutic procedures for respiratory disorders. So positioning, this helps relieve discomfort in certain conditions. Okay, let's have an example. Pneumonectomy. Okay? Na-discuss na natin kanina, pneumonectomy, this is the total removal of one whole lung. Okay? So we position the patient on the affected side. The good lung should be up to promote expansion of the good lung. Then total laryngectomy. Total laryngectomy, so larynx dapat andito yan. Okay? So we place the patient on mid-Fowler's or head of bed 35 degrees. So mababa lang. Kasi kapag naka-high Fowler yung patient, di ba pag nakatayo ka, may konting pressure ay dito sa neck mo? Eh kung dito ka inoperahan, pwedeng magkaroon siya ng pressure. So pwedeng pwedeng bumuka yung sugat. So mid-Fowler's lang para hindi bumuka yung sugat to decrease the stress on the neck, the site of the surgery. Then we have pneumonia pain. Okay, pneumonia pain, ang pwede kasing maging effect nito na pain is pleurisy. Okay, so this is the sharp stabbing pain while you are breathing. So ang gagawin mo lang dyan, You place the patient on the affected side. So, kunyari right lang yung masakit. So, place the patient flat on their right side. Okay? Para mag-splint. Okay? Para doon mababawasan yung sakit. So, so it's like you're adding pressure, okay, to the affected side. Okay? SIDS prevention. So, this is for babies, for infants. SIDS stand for Sudden Infant Death Syndrome. Again, sudden infant death syndrome. We need to prevent SIDS, we need to place the baby supine position. Ang usual na nagkakos ng SIDS, suffocation. Okay, nasa-suffocate sila because they are on prone position. Ano pa? May blankets doon sa crib ng bata. May pillows, may stuffed toys doon sa crib ng bata. That could have caused the suffocation. Kaya ang ina-advise ng mga pediatricians, if you have a baby, tapos bagong panganak lang yan, dapat ang crib niyan, walang ibang laman kundi si baby. Okay, so kutsyon at yung bata lang ang laman yan. Kapag meron niyang mga toys, yan ang pwede mag-cause ng suffocation. Ano pang bawal? Ano pang isa pang nakaka-cause ng SIDS? Yung tinatawag nating co-sleeping. Alam niyo yung co-sleeping? Yung bata hinihiga sa same na bed with the parents. Kung madaganan yung bata. Diba? Yan. Cause yun ng SIDS. Okay? Ayan. So, enough of SIDS. Sa pedia, may encounter niyan ulit. Okay? Then RSV, this stands for Respiratory Syncytial Virus. Itatype ko na lang dito. Respiratory Syncytial Virus. Okay? Now, this is a type of infection that is very highly contagious. Okay? Mabilis itong nakakahawa and it can cause difficulty of breathing. So, for the position, we just need to maintain lung expansion. So, semi-Fowler position only. Okay? Ano pa? For pulmonary edema. Now, for pulmonary edema, yung patient, so may excess na fluid sa kanyang bagat. Okay? Kasi congested ang kanyang lungs. We place the patient in high Fowlers kasi pag nakasemi yan or nakasupine, feeling nila nalulunod sila. Mas lumalala yung kanilang difficulty of breathing. So, high Fowler. Then, for tonsillectomy. Okay, tonsillectomy. So, tonsils, ma'am, bakit related yan sa respiratory symptoms? Sa respiratory natin? Well, what we're talking about now is positioning Okay, so isama na natin to. Tonsillectomy, so tonsils. Okay, so salala muna natin. So, head of bed elevated. Patient could also be side-lying or prone. Ang priority mo kasi dito is to facilitate the drainage of blood from the mouth. Kasi post-procedure, syempre magkakaroon pa yun ng dugo doon sa tonsils. So, side-lying or prone is good. Okay? Wag lang supine. Bakit? Pag sinupine mo yan, baka ma-aspirate niya yung dugo from the tonsillectomy. Okay? Yan. O kaya okay ang head of bed elevated din. Okay? This will prevent aspiration. And then ang lobectomy naman, the chest tubes and the surgical side are up. Okay? So lobectomy, a certain lobe of the lung lang is removed. So pneumonectomy, buong lang. Buong right lang. Kung lobectomy, isang lobe lang ng right lang ang tinanggal. Okay? So the chest tube and surgical side are up. In other words, the affected side is up. Okay? Hindi mo naman pwede syempre ipitin yung chest tube. Okay? So dapat side up yan. Okay? Yan. So yan lang ang ating positioning. Okay, what else do we need to discuss aside from positioning? We have pursed lip breathing. Okay, so di ba na-discuss natin yung pursed lip breathing? This is helpful for patients with asthma because it keeps their airway open for longer periods of time. Okay? Ayan, para maka-escape pa yung carbon dioxide. Now, pursed lip breathing is usually done for patients with respiratory disorders like asthma. Pwede rin for patients with COPD. Kasi nga, di ba, in COPD, natatrap yung carbon dioxide sa loob ng baga. So you want the CO2 to escape through pursed lip breathing. Ano pa? We have chest physiotherapy. Now, chest physiotherapy, so this is a combination of percussion and postural drainage. Ayan, so itong nasa first picture, that's an example of postural drainage. And then ito yung hand position for chest percussion. Okay? So position for the client during chest physiotherapy, well, we also talked about this one already. Head should be lower than the chest with the head turned toward the sides para ma-drain out yung sputum. Ito. Next, we have chest drainage. Chest drainage, this is for patients na may excess fluid or air or blood in the pleural space. Okay? So ang pag-uusapan natin dito will be chest tubes. Okay? Ito definitely lalabas to sa mga exams ninyo. The only way to re-expand the lung in spontaneous pneumothorax is to place a chest tube in the pleural cavity so air in the pleural space can be removed. Okay? So ayan. So usually for for spontaneous pneumothorax, may excess na pressure within the pleural space. Pwede kang mag-chest tube or pwede ka ring mag-thoracentesis. Okay? The priority in pneumothorax is to ensure oxygenation and breathing. Kasi natandaan nyo kanina, if you have pneumothorax, you will have decreased or absent breath sounds. Okay? So kailangan ma-facilitate mo ang breathing. Okay? While the patient has this condition. Okay? Then hemothorax, it causes dullness on percussion on the injured side. Okay? Bakit naging dull to percussion? Sabi natin, pag may area ng lung na dull to percussion, it means that area is full of fluid. Okay? Ayan. Ito yung nangyari sa hemothorax. If you try to percuss this area, puno yan, magiging dull yan ang percussion sound mo. Okay? Ano pa? Then we have chest tube drainage. Oh, ayan, let's talk about chest tubes. Okay. So we have different systems, okay, with chest tube drainage. Ang pinaka-basic would be the 3-bottle system. Okay? Now, itong mga red arrow na nakikita ninyo dito, that refers to the flow of air in your chest tube. But that is not very important right now. Ang pinaka-important dito is yung iba-ibang mga bottles na meron tayo. Okay? So, we have here the bottle number 1 or the first bottle. That's the drainage bottle. Second bottle is the water seal. Third bottle is the suction control. Okay? Now, dito muna tayo sa drainage bottle. Anong purpose ng drainage bottle? From the name itself, diyan nagde-drain ang fluid. Okay? Again, dito sa drainage bottle, dyan nagde-drain yung fluid, yung blood, etc. Okay? Ayan. So, that's the drainage bottle. So, ano dapat ang sine-check mo lagi sa drainage bottle? Siyempre, kung gaano karami na yung na-drain mo. Okay? Next, ano ba yung quality ng fluid na dinedrain mo? Is it bloody? Is it, pinkish ba yung color niya? Is it clear liquid? Ganon ang i-check mo sa drainage bottle. Okay? Next, we have the water seal bottle. Ito ang usual din itong tinatanong. Ang purpose ng water seal bottle, it prevents air entry. Okay? It prevents air entry into the pleural space. Okay? Yan. Kasi 'di ba, yung pleural space natin, konting liquid lang naman dapat ang laman yan, wala yung excess air. Okay? Ayan. So, pag may pumasok kasi ng air through our chest tube system, diyan na magkakaroon ng pneumothorax. Okay? Ayan. So, that's the purpose of the water seal bottle. It's to prevent that. And ang ating water seal bottle, what we need to check here is bubbling. Okay? Bubbling. Anong normal na bubbling in a water seal bottle? It is intermittent bubbling. Okay, so nawawala-wala siya. Magkakaroon din, mawala. Magkakaroon din, wala. That's fine. Kailan nagiging abnormal ang bubbling? If there is continuous bubbling. Pag nakita mo itong second bottle na to may continuous bubbling, what does that signify? That means there is an air leak. Okay? May air leak. May butas yung system mo. Okay, so yun lang yun. That's the water seal bottle. Again, ang intermittent, sagutin niyo ako normal or abnormal? Intermittent bubbling, normal, abnormal? Intermittent bubbling, normal. Pag continuous bubbling, yan, abnormal. So yan ang hahanapin mo sa water seal bottle. That's the second bottle. Okay? Ma'am, paano pag nagkaroon ng ear leak? Anong gagawin natin? Kailangan mo ngayon hanapin yung ear leak. Okay? So, pwede ka ditong gumamit ng clamps. Okay? But always remember, if you're going to use clamps, you need to clamp only for a very short period of time. So, kunyari, nag-clamp ka dito, nag-clamp ka saglit for a few seconds, nandun pa rin yung bubbling, continuous bubbling. So, hindi mo pa rin nahanap yung air leak. So, i-move mo lang siya along the system hanggang sa makita mong mawala yung bubbling. Okay? Ma'am, anong gagawin after clamping? Pag nahanap mo na yung butas, you need to tape it. Okay? Yan. Or, pwede mo rin i-replace yung ano tawag dito? Yung tube. Okay? But usually, doctors ang gumagawa niyan kung i-replace. So, wag mo nang i-attempt. Lagyan mo na lang ng tape and you close the system. Okay? So yan. So ano ba kasing mangyari ma'am pag nag-clamp ka ng matagal? Magkakos din yan ng pneumothorax. Okay? Because that will increase the pressure in the pleural space. Okay? Ayan. So there you go. Then the last bottle here is the suction bottle or suction control bottle. Dito, normal ang continuous bubbling. It means that the system is working, yung suction niya ay nag-work. Okay? Ayan. So yan ang ating three-way bottle system. So I hope you were able to understand, okay, yung ating three-way bottle system. Again, drainage, i-check mo gaano karami na yung na-collect mo, ano yung quality ng fluid na na-collect mo. Water seal, you check if there is continuous or intermittent bubbling. Suction control, i-check mo kung may continuous bubbling. Okay? Ma'am, paano kung biglang nawala yung bubbling? O yan ang tanong. Ma'am, paano pag biglang nawala yung bubbling? Dalawa lang yan. Either there is an obstruction or the lungs have fully expanded. Okay? Or fully re-expanded. Okay? Re-expanded. Ganyan na lang. Okay? Ma'am, paano ko malalaman kung alin ang nangyari? E di tingnan mo, gaga ka, i-assess mo yung patient mo. Okay? Pag obstruction, edi obviously, the patient will be manifesting signs and symptoms. May hirapan siyang huminga, magko-complain yan. That's a sign na may obstruction doon sa system mo. Tapos nakita mo yung system, walang bubbling na nangyayari. As in, lahat tigil. Walang tumutulo sa drainage, walang bubbling. Okay? Ma'am, paano naman kung lungs ay fully re-expanded na? Tiningnan mo yung patient, wala lang siya, okay lang siya. Humihinga lang siya ng maayos. E di lang re-expansion yan. Pag fully re-expanded na yung lungs, it is an indication na for the removal of the chest tube kasi hindi na kailangan ng pasyente. Okay? So ang gagawa na niyan, yung doctor, i-disconnect niya na yung chest tube system. Tatanggalin niya na sa pasyente. Okay? O yan, ang dami ko na nasulat. O buburahin ko na po ha. Okay, next. We also have this one. This is what we call the Plurivac. Ewan ko kung meron dito nito sa Pilipinas. Siguro sa sa mga bigger hospitals meron ganito, Plurivac. So yung Plurivac, it's basically one system. Tapos, nandun na yung three-way bottle system in just one machine. Okay? Andiyan na yung suction, andiyan na yung suction, andiyan na yung drainage, andiyan na rin yung water seal. Okay, so meron pa akong picture niyan mamaya. Medyo malabo lang dito. Then, meron din tayong one bottle and two bottle system. Okay? Ang one bottle system, basically, yung isang bote na yan, it is the water seal and the drainage bottle in one. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, wala ka ditong suction. Okay? Wala siyang suction. So, ginagamit lang ito kung very mild lang naman yung pneumothorax ng patient or mild pleural effusion lang, na konti lang yung fluid na kailangan mong i-drain. So, pwedeng hindi mo na kailangan ng suction. Okay? By force of gravity, magde-drain out din siya. Okay? And that's the one bottle system. Ang maganda sa one bottle system ay madali siyang i-set up. Okay? Madali siyang i-set up and madali din siyang i-monitor. Okay? Kasi hindi iba-ibang bottle yung kailangan mong i-protect na mabasag. Okay? Ganyan. Hindi mo titingnan ng maraming tubes kung meron bang may butas ba. Ayan. So mga small pneumothoraxes lang ito or pleural effusion. Okay? Ayan. Pag two bottle system naman, edi yung one bottle system, nagdagdag ka lang ng isa pang bote for the suction. O, yun lang siya. O, ganun lang kadali. O, ma'am, ma'am, paano naman namin i-monitor yung water, yung 1 bottle, tsaka yung 2 bottle? Same lang with how you do the 3 bottle. Okay? So, di ba itong bottle na ito, considered din siya as water seal. So, therefore, kung anong normal na i-check mo sa 3-way bottle na water seal, ganun din i-check mo dito. I-check if there is intermittent or continuous bubbling. Yun lang. Okay? Sa suction control naman, ano ba check natin itong suction control? If there is continuous bubbling. O, yun lang din. Ganun lang din siya. Very simple. Okay? Yan. So that's 2 bottle system and this is 3 bottle system. Pag yung patient mo, naka 3 bottle system na yan, it means kailangan niya ng kailangan niya ng active na suctioning talaga. Okay? Through the chest tube system. Okay, so ibig sabihin medyo malala yung pneumothorax niya or hemothorax or pleural effusion. Okay? Remember, bubbling is normal in the 3rd bottle but not in the 2nd bottle. Ang ibig sabihin nito ay continuous bubbling. Okay? Yan. Then the chest tube is usually removed as the client exhales. Okay, yan. So removal ng chest tube na. Kunyari, nag-expand na completely yung lungs ng pasyente. Pwede na siyang i-remove. So, ang ginagawa dito is, we advise the patient to do the Valsalva maneuver. Okay? Yung Valsalva maneuver, so you advise the patient to take a deep breath, then exhale. Okay? Pag exhale ng patient, naka-full exhale na siya, doon mo natanggalin yung chest tube. Okay? Ayan. So, ma'am, bakit kailangan full exhale yung patient habang tinatanggal yung chest tube? Kasi ayaw mong may pumasok na air doon sa pleural space. Kasi mag-increase na naman ang pressure niyan. So, dapat full exhale. Dapat naka-exhale siya until tapalan mo siya ng vaselinized gauze. Okay? Ayan. So, that is the Valsalva maneuver and chest tube drainage system. Okay. So, before we proceed, pagtatanong ako ng question ha. Tatanong ako ng question. Bubbling lang naman ang tatanungin ko kung anong normal. Okay? Balik tayo sa 3 bottle system. So again, we have the 1st bottle, 2nd bottle, and 3rd bottle. Question. Saan dito normal ang continuous bubbling? 1st, 2nd, 3rd. Saan normal ang continuous bubbling? Correct. Nasa 3rd bottle, nasa suction control bottle. Okay? Saan normal ang intermittent bubbling? Okay, very good. Number 2. O yun na hanapin mo pag bubbling. Hanapin mo ang intermittent and ang continuous. Okay? O ma'am, ano tawag dito? Ano ba yung tatanong ko? Okay. Anong ibig sabihin kapag nag-stop ang bubbling? Ano yung dalawang sinabi ko? What are the 2 indications na nag-stop ang bubbling sa buong system? Okay, ano yon? It is obstruction or re-expansion. Very good. Our lungs have re-expanded. Ay, very good. Nakikinig sila. Okay, tatandaan niyo yan ha. Okay, alam niyo ba may mga nagtitake ng NCLEX dito, nalilito pa rin sila. Just tatandaan mo saan ang normal bubbling and saan hindi. Okay? Ayan. So, very good. Ito ang example ng Plurivac. Ito question siya, pero papakita ko na lang sa inyo yung itsura ng Plurivac. This white portion over here, yan yung kumbaga yan yung drainage bottle. Okay? Ito yung drainage. So habang napupuno yan, habang napupuno ng fluid, ito na-fill up yung mga bar dyan. Okay? Then itong red na ito, yan yung water seal. But in this one, it is known as the air leak monitor. Okay? Diba, sabi natin, the water seal chamber, kapag may continuous bubbling yan, that indicates an air leak. Okay? So yan, ang tinitingnan dyan ay ito. Okay? Kung nagbabubble ba siya dyan. Then itong blue na ito, yan yung suction. Okay? Yan yung suction. So like I said earlier, the Plurivac is basically the 3-way bottle system condensed into just one machine. Okay? Ako personally, hindi pa ako nakakita ng Plurivac sa buong buhay ko. Kasi ang naging work ko lang naman before ay secondary hospital lang. Hindi ko pa na-try sa tertiary. Okay? I'm not sure if meron dito sa mga public hospital ng ganyan. Okay. Ayan. So, ang tinatanong dito, place an X on the area. The nurse should check on determining presence of air leak. O, diba sabi ko, itong red, that is the air leak monitor. Okay? Hindi naman masyado itatanong yan. Okay? What will you instruct the client while removing the chest tube? Okay. Instruct the client to do the Valsalva maneuver, do deep breathing, normal breathing, or inhale, exhale, and hold breath. Ano ba ang tama? What is the correct one? Ano na-mention natin? Okay, very good. It is number 1. Do the Valsalva maneuver. Okay, so I'd like to emphasize, hindi lang basta exhale ang gagawin natin. Pag Valsalva maneuver kasi, we advise them to exhale, then bear down. Okay, parang umiire. Okay, ayan. So that is Valsalva maneuver. Then, if the chest tube is disconnected to the patient, instruct the patient to cough to prevent tension pneumothorax. Kunyari natanggal talaga doon sa chest ng patient. Instruct them to cough, then apply an occlusive. This is what we know as a petroleum gauze or a vaselinized gauze. Okay? So, it's parang siyang gasa. Gasa siya tapos merong Vaseline. Okay? Ngayon tandaan nyo, pag ang patient mo naka-chest tube, dapat ito, lagi kang meron naka-prepare. So yung vaselinized gauze, you need to have this at the bedside in case of these types of accidents. Okay? Ma'am, paano kung walang vaselinized gauze? Anong gagawin ko? Kunyari, yung patient, during transport, doon natanggal. Okay? Doon natanggal na hila siya. Anything can do. Okay? For the meantime, pwedeng kamay mo, pwedeng kumot, anything, basta takpan mo yung site kung saan natanggal yung chest tube. Okay? And then call someone for help. Then to prevent backflow during ambulation, the drainage bottles are usually kept below the waist. Diba? Pag gumagamit tayo ng yung mga urine bag natin sa patients natin naka-catheter, diba always laging lower than the level of the bladder yan? Okay? Kasi by force of gravity, doon magde-drain ang fluid. Okay? Ayan. Next. The nurse receives instruction to ambulate the client with chest tube. The nurse's most appropriate response is clamp the chest tube and detach, then ambulate. Keep the chest tube below the waist. Ambulate in place at the bedside or recheck with the healthcare provider. Ano sabi natin? To prevent backflow, ano dapat ang gagawin natin? Kung mag-ambulate siya. Ano dapat? Okay? Ano sagot? To prevent backflow, tatayo siya eh. O, paano hindi magba-backflow? We do number 2. Keep the chest tube below the waist. Now, actually ngayon, meron nang ginagamit. Kung yung patient mo ay naka-chest tube, okay? Kasi syempre, pag tumayo yan, tas dala-dala yung mga bote, di ba yung tendency mabasag, di ba? So, gumagamit tayo ng tinatawag na Heimlich valve. Okay? Heimlich valve. So, ina-attach siya doon sa yung sa far end na dulo ng chest tube. Okay? Tapos, dito magfo-flow out yung air. Okay? Kung kunyari, ano lang naman yan, pneumothorax lang naman siya. So, para hindi siya mahirapan mag-ambulate with the bottles, ang meron na lang siyang suot ay valve. Okay? So, pwede ito, short term lang susuotin ng patient. Ang maganda kasi sa Heimlich valve, one way lang yung paglabas ng air through the valve. So, walang re-entry of air na papasok sa pleural space. Okay? And so, that's the Heimlich valve. Clinical issues with the chest tube. Continuous rapid bubbling in the water seal bottle. So, di ba sabi natin that is abnormal. So, our priority is to verify the presence of a leak in the system and tape it. Next. There's absence of water fluctuation in the second chamber during respiration. Sorry, I forgot to emphasize. Yung water seal bottle mo, not only do you check for bubbling, you also need to check for fluctuation. Yun bang tubig in the water seal, umaakyat bababa siya while you're breathing? Normally, nagfa-fluctuate po yan when you inhale and exhale. Pag nawala ang fluctuation, you need to assess for obstruction. Okay? Isa rin yan pwede mong i-check kung kunyari yung patient mo nag-re-expand na yung lungs niya. Okay? Yan. Pag nag-re-expand na yung lungs niya, mapapansin mo nagfa-fluctuate naman yan. Okay? Then, if there is absence of bubbling in the suction control chamber, so you need to adjust the amount of suction or you check also for obstruction. Yan. Paano kung nabasag yung bottle? There's a broken bottle. The best thing that you can do is to get a new bottle. a sterile, ano tawag dito? Bottle ng sterile water pwede mong gamitin. Okay? Immerse tubing in a bottle of sterile water. Then client accidentally removed the chest tube, okay, from their chest. If the patient is inside the room, cover with Vaselinized gauze. If out of the room, any material available is okay. Okay? Yan. Which of the following statements is true for clients with chest tubes? Oh, you answer this one. It should be kept below the waist level, yes or no? Chest tube. This is yes, very good, para mag-drain out yung fluid. Assess the insertion site for subcutaneous emphysema. Diba na-discuss natin to kanina? Yes. You try to palpate around the insertion site kung meron kang nafe-feel na popping sensation. Okay? And then kung meron, i-check mo kung lumalaki siya. So you need to mark it. Okay? Never clamp the tubes. Yes. Okay? Never clamp the tubes unless indicated ha. Unless naghanap ka ng air leak. Technically, tama ang number 3. Okay yan. So never clamp the tubes. Keep the tubings free of kinks. Yes. Okay, dapat walang kink yan kasi mag-increase ang pressure sa system. Administer analgesics as ordered. Yes. Now, usually with patients who naka-chest tube, may nafe-feel silang pain, syempre naka-tube kayo diretso sa baga mo. Okay? So you need to give pain medication. Bubbling in the third bottle indicates air leak. Is that correct? Yes or no? Bubbling in the third bottle indicates an air leak. Yes or no? Yes or no? Air leak ba yan? This is no. Uy, saan ba dapat ang bubbling? Okay, continuous bubbling. Dapat sa second bottle to check for air leak. Okay? Yan, very good. Okay. I think, nawala. Okay, anyway. So tuloy lang natin guys. We have around, ano tawag dito? Less than 30 slides left. Okay. So oxygen therapy. So we have the following delivery systems for your oxygen: nasal cannula, simple mask, non-rebreather mask, and Venturi mask. So the higher you go, no, in terms of your liters per minute, the more special type of mask you will need to use. Okay. Pinaka-comfortable gamitin is none other than the nasal cannula. Okay? Nasal cannula is the most comfortable kasi 1 to 5 liters per minute lang naman. Then you have simple mask is 6 to 8 liters, non-rebreather mask 12 to 15. Venturi mask naman, mas ginagamit ito for patients with COPD kasi mas concentrated yung hindi, not that. It's that mas kailangan mo ng tamang adjustment ng oxygen na ibibigay mo doon sa pasyente mong may COPD. Okay? Yan. So we use a Venturi mask. Okay? The non-rebreather mask, this is used to deliver high oxygen concentration in emergent client conditions. So, yung non-rebreather mask, from the name itself, the patient should not be rebreathing his own breath. Okay? Kaya nga non-rebreather eh. So, yung mga mask na yan, merong mga ports dito. These are valves. Okay? Pag nag-exhale yung patient, yung air lalabas dyan sa valves na yan. Okay? Kaya siya non-rebreather. And then, pag nag-inhale yung patient, yung valve na yan magsasara. Okay? Kaya non-rebreather siya. Okay? Now, when you are using a non-rebreather mask, always check if the bag is functioning. Okay? Kasi kapag hindi yan nag-expand, pag ikaw ay humihinga, edi hindi effective yung non-rebreather mask mo. Okay? Yan. A Venturi mask, it delivers precise oxygen concentrations in patients with COPD. Kasi yung mga patients na may COPD, so as not to suppress the hypoxic drive. Okay? Kasi pag sinabing na-suppress ang hypoxic drive mo, nangyayari yan kapag sobrang taas ng oxygen, binigay mo sa patient na may COPD. Ang tendency, comfortable na sila, hindi na sila hihinga. Okay? Yan. Now, we do not want that to happen. So that's why we use the Venturi mask. Dapat saktong oxygen concentration lang ang gagamitin natin. Okay? Now, oxygen toxicity causes which of the following conditions? Direct pulmonary trauma, yes. Reduce alveolar surface, yes. Decrease oxygen uptake, yes. Increase CO2 levels, carbon dioxide, yes. It should be increased lang, hindi decreased. Okay, so anong essence nito? No need to memorize this one. just because it's also oxygen doesn't mean you can give it in excess amounts. Okay? Yun ngang air na binibreathe natin, most of that is not even oxygen. Most of the air that we breathe is actually nitrogen. Okay? Yan. So, pwede magkaroon ng oxygen toxicity. And isi-share ko lang ha. Alam niyo ba ng oxygen toxicity is one of the theories that causes aging? Basahin niyo yan. May ganyan, i-google niyo yan. Kasi di ba, we age, nag-age tayo. So, ang theory ng ibang mga scientists is, we age, we get more sick the older we get. It's because of oxygen toxicity daw. Okay? But again, that's a theory lang. Okay? Pwede niyo siyang basahin. It's very interesting. Okay? New evidence suggests no support for low-flow oxygen is in clients with COPD. So, essentially, before, ang misconception is that if you give high concentrations of oxygen nga, masusuppress yung hypoxic drive, like what I was saying earlier, no? Pero ngayon, iniba na yan ng American Lung Association. Ang ginagawa na sa oxygen ay tinatitrate na. So hindi ka basta sabihin mo, ay low flow oxygen lang yun lagi, low flow oxygen lang yan. Hindi. You will need to titrate it based on the patient's oxygen saturation level. So kunyari, ganitong liters per minute, yung COPD patient mo, ganito lang binigay mo. Pero ang utosat niya, 85% lang. E di hirap pa rin yan huminga. So kailangan taasan mo ng konting oxygen until ma-meet niya around, if I'm not mistaken, it's 90%, okay, na utosat, that is considered acceptable. Okay? Ay, sorry. Hindi pala 90% lang. 88 to 92%. Okay? Basta ma-maintain mo na ganyan ang oxygen saturation ng patient while they are on oxygen therapy, okay yan. Okay? Yan. So that is the new evidence now. Okay? And then we also have tracheostomy. So tracheostomy, this is the creation of an airway, especially if the upper airway is compromised. Okay, so yan ang tracheostomy natin. So diretso talaga sa trachea ng patient. Diyan ka magve-ventilate. Okay, yan so tracheostomy. Diyan ka diyan ka magsa-suction. Yan. So tracheostomy to relieve breathing difficulties by any blockage in the airway passages. So kaya ginagawa ang tracheostomy because of foreign body impactation in the airways. Okay, so it can also be due to tumors in the vocal cords. Kasi kapag lumaki yung tumor, pwedeng further mag-obstruct talaga yung trachea mo. Trauma in the region, kunyari na aksidente ka, tapos naging very swollen ang trachea mo. So you will need to open it by doing a tracheostomy. Acute infection of the airways, paralysis of vocal cords following injury, and edema of the airways. Okay? Kaya ang ginagawa ng iba, no? For example, in the emergency department, pag nagtatry sila mag-intubate, tapos hindi talaga ma-intubate kasi very swollen yung airway ng patient. So hindi kaya ng ET, tracheostomy na ang gagawin po sa inyo. Okay? Usually nangyayari ito sa mga pasyente na nag-suffer from inhalation burns. Ayan. So, natrap sila doon sa building na nasusunog. Hindi sila namatay pero na-unconscious sila kasi ang dami na nilang na-inhale na smoke. Ang magiging effect niyan sa airway is edema. Okay? So, in a lot of cases, very severe yung edema, hindi kaya ng ET, tracheostomy ang ginagawa nila. Okay? A fenestrated tracheostomy has one or more hole in the outer cannula. It allows for normal breathing, speaking using vocal cords, or coughing out secretions to the mouth. Okay, so ano ba yung fenestrated tracheostomy? Para siyang ganito. Okay, so merong parang butas dito sa tube. Okay, tapos that will allow the movement of air going to the larynx. Okay, yan. So diba sabi natin, in order to produce voice, dapat may air na dadaloy sa larynx. Yan. Most of the time kasi tracheostomy patients, hindi yan makakapagsalita. Okay? Hindi yan makakapagsalita kasi nga walang air na napupunta sa larynx. Okay? Yan. Then this is the way to secure your tracheostomy. Kailangan mo ng tracheostomy tie. You need to replace this regularly or clean it. Okay? As part of the patient's hygiene. So I don't know if na-try nyo nang mag ganito as part of morning care. No? It's pagbago ka pa lang, time consuming to pero it's a fun thing to learn. Okay? Pero kailangan mo rin maging maingat. Ayan. So, when you are cleaning the tracheostomy, you need to utilize sterile technique. Okay? Maliban dun sa ties ha. Yan sa ties, okay lang clean technique. Pero yung mismong trach, tandaan mo, ang airway mo, it's a sterile field. Okay? Loob ng airway mo, sterile yan. Pag may na-introduce dyan na foreign, pwede mag-cause ng infection. Okay? A tracheostomy kit is to accompany the client at all times and must be checked each shift by the nurse caring for the patient. So dapat complete lagi ang tracheostomy kit for every shift. Okay? Kasi baka meron siyang component na kailanganin mo in case of emergency. Okay? Ayan. Now, what are the signs of tracheostomy obstruction? Okay, early signs, we have tachypnea, tachycardia, increased work of breathing, abnormal breath sounds, decrease in oxygen saturation levels. Late sign, we have cyanosis, apnea, and bradycardia. Okay, so you need to watch out for these types of signs. Okay, question, which of the following are early signs of tracheostomy obstruction? Okay, so magot. Tachypnea, yes or no? Early sign ha, early. Tracheostomy obstruction, this is yes. Tachycardia. Tachycardia, is this an early sign? Tachycardia, yes. Increased work of breathing. Increased work of breathing is also yes. Decrease in oxygen saturation level, yes. Abnormal breath sound, yes. What about bradycardia? Is that an early sign? Is bradycardia an early sign? Diba? Hindi. Tatlo lang ang late sign natin. Diba? It is cyanosis, apnea, and bradycardia. Okay? Then we have tracheostomy cuff pressure. So it should be below 25 millimeters mercury. So yung cuff pressure kasi, ang purpose niyan is to keep the tracheostomy in place. Okay? So meron dyang ini-inflate na cuff. Okay? Para yung tracheostomy ay hindi siya ma-dislodge. Ayan. So dapat ganyan lang kababa yung ano niya. Kasi pag masyadong mataas yung pressure niyan, pwede yung makasakal dun sa patient. Okay? Masakit daw yan eh. Okay? Then, when you are suctioning, remember to hyperoxygenate before and after. Okay? Now, ang purpose ng hyperoxygenation before and after suctioning, it is to prevent hypoxemia. Okay? Yan. Then we have tracheal lavage. Actually, ngayon, hindi na to ginagawa. Okay? Hindi na to ginagawa. Ang purpose ng tracheal lavage dati is nag-i-introduce ka ng NSS doon sa tracheostomy, tapos tsaka ka magsa-suction. Kumbaga, it's a way to liquefy the secretions that are in your trachea, okay, or in your airway. Ngayon, hindi na to ginagawa because it caused a lot of issues with many patients. Ano na lang ginagawa ngayon instead of lavage? Humidification. So, kunyari yung patient na naka-mech vent. So, pwede kang mag-humidify using the mech vent. Na ganyan. Adequate hydration, pwede rin, just to loosen the secretions. Okay? Ayan. Suctioning, yan. Pero yung tracheal lavage, hindi na siya ginagawa. Okay? Then we have oral suctioning. Okay? Ano ba dapat position ng patient during suctioning? So, if the patient is conscious, put them on semi-Fowler position. If the patient is unconscious, Sims position. Okay? Anong purpose? Bakit ganito Sims sa unconscious? This is to prevent aspiration. Kasi pag sinemi-Fowler mo yan, hindi alam ng patient, since unconscious siya, hindi niya alam kung may nalulunok ba siya or napupunta sa airway yung secretions niya. Okay? Then we also have nasopharyngeal suctioning. Ang kailangan mo lang tandaan dito sa nasopharyngeal suctioning is that this could stimulate the sneezing reflex. Okay, so pwedeng mabahing yung patient during the procedure. An indication for this one is a weak coughing reflex. So kung kunyari yung patient hindi weak yung cough niya, hindi kaya sa oral suctioning, then you will need to do nasopharyngeal suctioning. And then you have endotracheal suctioning. So this is the suctioning through the ET. Okay, so ito yung pinakamadali. Okay, pinakamadaling gawin. Pero unconsciously, tulog dito yung pasyente mo. Okay, key points. Ay, sorry. Yan. The length for your suction catheter, kung gaano kalayo mo siya i-insert, it should be until the carina is reached. So, di ba sabi natin, i-advance mo yung catheter until may ma-feel ka ng resistance. Okay? So, ang gagawin mo, when you insert the suction catheter, do not apply suction. Just insert until you feel resistance. Okay? And then, when you feel resistance, then you start to suction. And then you suction palabas or pataas. Okay? Until you pull out the whole suction catheter. And then, i-hyperoxygenate mo na siya ulit. Okay. The normal duration of the suctioning, ito lagi din itong tinatanong. It should be 10 to 15 seconds only. Okay? If it's more than 15 seconds, that could cause hypoxemia. Okay? For infants, mas kaunti. 5 seconds or less lang. Kasi syempre, very immature pa ang kanilang respiratory system. Okay? Yan. Then we have tracheal suctioning. Now, in tracheal suctioning, kailangan dito 10 to 15 minutes pa rin ang pag-suction. But the interval is much longer. Okay? Dapat 2 minutes. Okay? 2 minutes ang interval bago ka mag-pass ulit ng suction. So, kunyari, nagpasok ka ng suction ka, then nag-suction ka na. You need to get the patient to rest for 2 minutes bago ka mag-suction ulit. Bakit? Kasi sa trachea natin, pag nag-suction ka dyan, mas marami ka nang nakukuhang oxygen compared sa ET, compared sa nasopharyngeal or oral. Kasi large airway yan eh. Okay? So 2 minutes rest before you do another pass of your suction. Okay? Ano pa? So hyperoxygenate the client with 100% oxygen before and after suctioning. Ayan, so always remember this one kasi you want to avoid hypoxemia. Okay? Other forms of respiratory support, we have the ventilator. Okay, so sa ventilator, ang kailangan lang natin malaman, when the ventilator high pressure alarm sounds, that indicates obstruction. Mataas ang pressure, may obstruction. So ano dapat ang hahanapin mo? Tingnan mo kung kumakagat yung patient. Ay, sorry, hindi nagsulat. Biting. Pag nag-bite yan, tataas ang pressure. Ano pa? Kung merong coughing, baka umuubo pala yung patient, check mo rin for secretions kasi baka meron na dyang namuo na maraming secretions. Okay? Ayan. So non-patient related naman, you check for kinking. Okay? Nag-kink, may naipit doon sa ET tube niya or any part of the system. Ano pa? You check a mucus plug in the system. You also check for water accumulation. Okay? Pag masyadong maraming water na nabuo doon sa circuit, doon sa tubes, pwede rin yan mag-cause ng high pressure alarm. Okay? Pag low pressure alarm naman, okay? Pag low pressure alarm naman, kung sa high pressure may naiipit, low pressure, pwede itong natanggal. Okay? Or pwedeng itong merong leak. Okay? Ayan. So, you check for leaks. Then, pwede rin ito, ang cause nito na extubate na pala yung patient. Natanggal na pala yung tube. Anong isang indication na na-extubate na yung patient? Biglang nagsalita. Okay? Gulat ka, ICU. O puro ventilated ang patient mo. May tumawag, nurse, naiihina po ako. Ay, ano na yan? Itawag mo na yan, extubated na yan. Okay? Ayan. Ano pang pwede nating i-check? You check also for cough leaks. Okay, so yun na nga, leaks din ito. That also contributed to the extubation kasi hindi na nakasecure yung ET niya or yung tracheostomy niya. Okay? Ayan. So, that is all. Okay, I think I reached the end of my slides. So, it's already 7:30. So, I hope you guys were able to learn from our discussion today. Sana nandito pa kayo. Ma'am, kailan po ba i-rationalize yung pretest natin? So I will just rationalize it kapag nagkita tayo ulit for our next discussion on RESP. Okay? So ayun lang everyone. So if there are no more questions, we can end the class. Ayan, if there are concerns, you can message me on Facebook po. Pero kung kayang i-delay bukas, i-delay nyo kasi gabi na. Okay? Ayan, so thank you everyone and have a good rest of the day. Thank you everyone. Good night po. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.